One's ready. Go!
Hey everybody, welcome back to the ONESREADY podcast. Ooh, still working on my frog in my throat. Jeez. You probably haven't seen the solo episodes, dude, but there were several times that I was like just coughing straight into the mic because it would happen so fast that I didn't have time to hit the mute.
Jeez, dude.
Constantly apologizing.
Dude, and solos are tough too, because it's like if you don't establish the rhythm, or if you get like going on something and then you have to like, ugh.
Do you notice that you'll almost run out of breath?
Yeah,
Like you're almost like, you know.
I like give myself a pep talk before I do those. I'm like, just speak normal, just take your breaks. Yeah, it's so stupid,
dude. It's wild though, because you put me in front of a room of people. It could be 10 people, it could be 500 people, whatever, no big deal.
Yeah,
staring at a camera though, I'm like,
faster, say it.
Oh god.
Don't forget the word.
Exactly. Well, before we hop into there, don't forget, please. Oh, let me grab it. These guys.
Oh,
S4 FE-D for the chemical, biological, radiation, and nuclear wipes. You can also go to cbrnwipes.com. Use the promo code ONESREADY, get yourself a discount. They clean absolutely everything. They have these little micro towels. I have a bunch of these in my car. They have spray. They have the kind of like ready-made like Clorox wipes too.
oh,
So
nice.
all kinds of stuff that you can use. But that
Cool.
is cbrnwipes.com, promo code ONESREADY.
Good for everything. When we got to hurry through these because we got critiqued by one person being like, your ads took forever and I got to where I was going and I still hadn't heard any of your podcasts. It's like, well, man, like, do you got a fast forward button? You know, like, and also sometimes we get lost during the ads and we start chit chatting a little bit. I'm sorry.
Well,
I feel wicked bad about it.
That and even Steven called me. He's like, bro. So it must have been that one episode, because there was an episode that even while we were doing ad reads, I'm sitting here just like,
guys were like,
come on. And it was like 6 or 8 minutes into it, and we're still doing ad reads for like 2.
Sometimes we get excited to talk about our friends, you know, and that's what you should take away from that is we actually believe and like the products that we talk about on the podcast. And so, sorry, we're getting more comfortable with it, the ad reads and all that stuff, and we're excited to see. At least I am. So, like, if we record like once or twice a week, Saturday morning, I'm pretty excited to see the fellas, you know, and we get a little chatty.
Yeah,
so
we do get chatty.
We're getting old and chatty and all that other crap.
All right. Well, I know that we just kind of hopped on here and you have no idea what we're talking about. So
surprise.
We're staying on the zero prep train. But you're tracking, or at least I think you're tracking, and hopefully some other folks tracking, because we announced it a couple of times, but there is the 24th Special Operations Wing, their recruitment accession selection, maybe the RAS team. So shout out to them. They are putting on a good product. They have started something called the IFAM, and it stands for Initial Familiarization, and it's an old term, an old kind of thing that used to be back in the day, back in the 90s and early 2000s, and then swapped or just kind of went away completely. And now we're kind of bringing it back, but in a same name, but in a different intent and different capacity. So,
is it? Because I know some of the guys. So when South T, you had to be weather beforehand. Back in the day, we used to have an IFAM that guys would go down there, you know, and kind of like, you know, see what it's like in the field, get yelled at a little bit, PT a little bit, get a taste for it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Before you switch over. Yeah, of course I never heard about it or got to do it, but you know, like I was just better than the other guys, so I didn't need it.
You heard it here first.
Sarcasm. That is sarcasm, everybody. Just to be clear.
Well, sarcasm. I used to think sarcasm doesn't translate over text, and I still believe that, you know, text, comments, stuff like that. But apparently sarcasm doesn't translate over video and voice either. So anywho,
yeah.
So the team out there, the 24 Special Operations Wing, has this IFAM that they've started, and I got some feedback from it from the cadre that I figured it would be worth, and it's not a whole bunch of feedback, but it's just some interesting points
Is it just like a sticky note that says kids these days?
No, it's better than that, but it's not much. Because I still have a call with him to actually go through some of the details. But so the whole point of IFAM is to take folks that are already in, or maybe at the academy or something like that. This is not a development type thing. This is a, hey, you're already in, you're looking to cross train, whether you've applied for cross training or you're thinking about applying for cross training, or you haven't met your window to cross train yet. This IFAM is for you. So it's a week long gig, 5 days. They pay for travel and everything like that, and they bring you down to Hurlburt Field and put you through pool sessions, smoke sessions, IFTs, give you a glimpse into what the pipeline's going to be like, give you a glimpse into what the career fields are going to be like, because they have actual dudes, like they bring dudes down from the 23rd to come and talk. So they're not just kind of instructors. They're actually like homies from the team that can tell you how it is and what it's like on team. So the number one issue that they had was 11 out of the 26 failed their IFT.
I mean, they're there for the IFAM. You know, like what if you were like, and I don't know like who all is eligible, right? But if you are 1 year into your career or a year and a half in, and you can't even retrain until a year and a half later, and maybe it's just like something that just kind of came up, or your supervisor said something about it, and they got you a TDY out there because you seem interested and you're like one of the fit people at your squadron. I mean, maybe there's an excuse. You know what I mean? Like, but if you are serious about retraining, I hope that really opened up your eyes to the fact that you are definitely not ready if you showed up and you failed.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty. Jeez, man, like I just really surprised by it. So yeah, here's the 5 W's: active duty enlisted and officers interested in joining special tactics. This is just for CCT and SR. This is not for PJs, to be clear. The what is a 1 week physically demanding familiarization course to educate you about the career fields, provide leadership exercises, and prepare you for the pipeline. Takes place at Herbie. This last one was 8 through 14 December. And why you would do it is to enhance your leadership, learn and build on your pipeline skills with proper technique, help decide if special tactics is right for you. Yeah, that was about it. And it's got to be, if you're officers, it's got to be 01 through 03 if you're looking to be a stow.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's like a phase 2 light. We used to have the old phase 2 for the NCOs and the retrainees, and it was a week long. We'd bring you out there, and definitely probably more intense. Probably. Why did I say that? Definitely more intense the phase 2 was than this is. But it's a good thing to do, and it's and maybe some of these things happened while they were there. Is you're based wherever you're based, and you TDY to Florida, and maybe you're like, no, I can do the IFT all day, every day in California, where the weather is perfect, where the SEALs train, and you stay soft out there in California. And then you come to Florida and you wake up that morning and it's soup outside, and all of a sudden you can't run. Maybe you're a little jet lagged. There's a few additional things that are affecting your performance. And just understand that those things are going to be there when you enter the pipeline, and there are no excuses.
Yep. Zero. So like, I don't know, man. I guess I'm two minds about it, because they're limited on slots, right? And they do prioritize. It is a first come, first serve, but at the same time, like once you get past the first come, first serve, then it is based off of your IFT and PT scores. And so let me finish this text. He said 11 of the 26 failed the IFT, one of which is starting ANS next month, January.
Oh, that's unacceptable.
Bro.
Nah, dog. That's was that an enlisted dude or an officer?
Yeah, he's probably sweaty.
Yeah. Well, maybe call your functional manager back that put their name on your piece of paper to retrain, and let them know that you're not ready. Because that's going to be embarrassing for everybody.
Yep. And he says that it wasn't a because sometimes you'll get during an IFT or something like that, right? You'll have somebody who hasn't had a lot of time in development, or maybe their recruiter. I'll shout out to the recruiter, but sometimes there's some discrepancies on what a correct pull up is or what a
Right.
correct push up is, that kind of stuff. So, you are going to get scrutinized more once you show up around a bunch of beret wearers that are, judging you and evaluating you on coming into the career field. So, so sometimes, somebody will show up and go, yeah, I get 18 pull ups. Well, they're actually like 11 or 12. You
Maybe.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
He said that is not this. This was straight up, dude just couldn't pass.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
don't. Yeah. Like, and so this is perfect timing because we had that reel that dropped with Coach Edgerton the other day, which apparently is the most offensive thing we've ever said, despite the fatties and all the other stuff that we've talked about on here. Saying that your powerlifting numbers don't matter on day one when you take the IFT, apparently hurts some feelings. But that's what we're saying. If you can't pass that test, like, we know that you have to carry weight in the pipeline. We know that you have to pass the CFT and the OFT later on, but none of that matters if you can't get your foot in the door, if you can't make it through that first gate.
Exactly.
And so that's what we were saying with that reel, despite, the incredible amount of comments that we got that from morons. Yeah.
I'll give those people the benefit of the doubt. Like, maybe it's just it's a passing glance at a reel, and then they felt strongly enough to comment. But like, dude, once you get on team and even in the pipeline, you're going to jack steel. You're going to do powerlifting movements, Olympic lifts. You're going to do, your bench, your squats, your deadlifts, all those things you're going to do it. Yeah. But it's not going to do you any good, right? Like, right off the bat. It's going to be grip strength and time on feet.
Yeah. Well, everybody's like, oh, those lifts can help with the other things. It's like, sure, yeah, they can, but that shouldn't be your priority because it doesn't matter, unless you can do the push-ups. And there's a whole bunch of people that make it through the pipeline that when they show up on day one have never touched a barbell before in their lives. Like, a whole bunch of them. So, it's like, well, they definitely should do this stuff. And yeah, like, I get it. Like, when I started deadlifting for real, my ruck got easier,
Yep.
And that's just the way it is. And also, as getting older, and I gained a little bit of weight, and those types of things got easier. The run got a little bit more difficult and required a little more training. But if you're motivated and you can pass the IFT, we're going to get you the rest of the stuff as long as you don't quit.
Yeah. The only caveat that I always say to that is just for the skinny dudes that are out there. Like, it's one thing if you're got a little bit more meat on you, you have a little bit more foundational muscle to kind of fall back on, like, as you fatigue and as your body just decides to eat itself, through the pipeline, that foundational muscle you'll have to rely on. If you're super skinny dude and you don't have that to fall back on, then maybe throwing in some weights and that kind of stuff, like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or heavier weights or more barbell stuff. But man, it's a endurance and cardio game at the beginning.
You better make sure that IFT is on point every day, no matter what. And then you can start worrying about everything else.
In order, too.
You better maintain that. Oh yeah, in order, all on the same day. Within the whole thing takes an hour and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. You better be on it before you start worrying about everything else. Never, Okay, so some of the people in the comments were probably like just well intentioned, but some of them were straight stupid.
Upset.
Yeah.
Really upset by it too.
Yeah, it was weird.
So to put a bow on this, on IFAM, the poop sandwich, the shit sandwich, is he said, besides the 11 out of 26 failing the IFT and the one dude not passing and departing in January, he said that the group has been extremely motivated for the most part and put out on every single event. Like, there was no slacker. So good job to the Raz team, and then good job to the dudes that showed up and put out.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not an easy thing to do, even if it's just a fam, right? Coming from like the regular Air Force, that week's going to be tough. You're going to be tired. You're going to be dirty. You're going to be chafed. It's not the funnest thing to do, and they're making you do this PT test, and there's a lot of pressure, like you said. And maybe that's what it was. Like, you show up, and there's a bunch of these dudes, that's just stare at you. We've been these dudes before. They just stare at you while you do it and say, nope, nope, nope. And then, it'll make you feel some kind of way about everything, but you got to get past that. You got to find that performance anxiety that increases your performance, not the bad type of anxiety.
Yeah, 100%. And then make sure you leave more comments. If I end up making this a reel, make sure you leave more comments telling us how much of an idiot we are.
Well, we hate, SBD. We hate the big 3 lifts. So we're idiots.
Squat, bench, deadlift.
Yeah.
All right. The next thing, and I'm all over the place on this too, because I was just going to record solo if you weren't available. So
I'm here, bro.
There was a request to do a video on the biggest mistakes we've seen new recruits and seasoned soft dudes make, or the most common.
I mean, that's a wide net that they're casting with that question.
Yeah.
I think because we focus on people first coming to the pipeline, that's probably where we should start. Like day one of the pipeline, big mistakes that we see coming in the front door. You got anything on the top of your head?
Well, I mean, I think making sure that you're ready when you tell somebody that you're ready to go with like the IFT, we just talked about somebody failing, like that's a mistake. That's not starting off correctly. Now, can you recover? Absolutely you can. Hopefully you're not, you didn't cross train over, like you're there at selection and then you fail day one. Like then that's kind of one of those catastrophic failures that, you may or may not recover from.
Yeah. Just make sure you argue with your cadre when they're making you sign the paperwork after you fail too. That'll really set you up to come back again in the future.
And let them know that they were actually out to get you too. Yeah. Like it's definitely personal. For sure. It's personal.
Yeah. We just hate, seer people that try to retrain. That's what it is.
Yeah. Love maintainers, you're good to go. It's strictly seer. If you're a seer cross training, we just don't like you apparently.
And seer, people have to know, like we make fun of seer because we also love, you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things. If I didn't love a career field, I wouldn't make fun of them.
It's just like apparently TACPs think that I hate them. Well, which is crazy to me, but yeah, okay. I'll take it.
Yeah. just your boy.
So other mistakes that I've seen, right? And this is on pipeline and in the team. It kind of translates. Doing stupid shit like getting DUIs, right? Drink driving, that kind of stuff. That'll get you rolled up like quicker than anything, whether you're in the pipeline or on team. You're a little bit more survivable if you're on team, because you've already been through everything. But it's if you think that you're just going to dust yourself off, dust yourself off and get right back to it, probably not. It's going to take some time.
Dude, on team, it's even worse. Not worse, because like if you're in the pipeline, you get a DUI, you're out of there. Like goodbye. Yeah. Like, but we'll probably forget your name after a little bit, and if you come back in like 3 or 4 years, that's more recoverable in a lot of ways than you being a new guy on team, first impressions, and then you knock out a DUI like your 3rd weekend at a 2 series squadron. Like the stain on your reputation, the way that people are going to look at you, how hard you're going to have to work to get past that. Like, and you're embarrassing the career field in a different way. You're not a trainee. Like you are there to do work. There's not that many of us on these bases for the most part, unless you're at the 2-3, but even still, like that's a mark on that squadron's ledger in the negative, and everybody's going to know about it. And now you're that guy that's hosing everybody else in your squadron because you can't control yourself because you made a stupid decision.
Especially in 2024. Dude, 2024, 2025, like, man, with so many different things like Uber and Lyft exist, and even if you just call somebody, I promise you that it would be better for you to call somebody, whether it was your team sergeant, your flight commander, or your team commander, or even the chief of the squadron, for them to come pick you up and maybe you deal with whatever that is, than actually getting into DUI.
Yeah, getting smoked, like running the tower, 100 times or whatever it is that you got to do when you show back up to work is way better. than embarrassing your entire squadron
Yeah.
on that base and in the Air Force.
Yep.
But you see that in the pipeline too. And I need, like, if you're out there, like, listen to this, like, there's so much freedom in being like hyper disciplined at times in your career, right? The pipeline is a time for you to super focus in on what's important, and partying is not important, especially if you know you're a person that has like self-control issues. Like, give yourself the most freedom possible and hyper focus on only the things that matter. You know, later on in the pipeline, it gets a little bit looser and you can have a little bit of fun, maybe, but especially early on, just take that opportunity to focus on one thing in your life, and it'll work out better for you. All that other crap is nonsense, and it's not going to help you pass the pipeline.
Yep, exactly. The other ones that I had kind of come up with was, and again, this is translates throughout the no matter what, but thinking you're above a certain task, a task as in like, taking out the trash, hey, help unload that truck. I mean, you could boil it down to anything, right? If you think you're above that, dude, you're not. One, I don't give a shit what rank you think you are, or what rank you are, or how it, you want to talk about this entitled mentality. Like, that's the kind of stuff that will get you PNG'd from the team.
Yeah. Yeah, that's no bueno, and you see that sometimes in the pipeline. I'll tell you, I used to tell all of them, like, hey, like, this is the way it is. If we met on the street, and I've said this before, you're a person, and your opinions and what you decide to do, all that stuff, you get my respect, but you are here. And in this hierarchy, no matter what your rank is, if you're sitting in the classroom and I'm up there and I'm your instructor and we're about to go out for a smoke session, I'm in charge. I have more experience than you do in here. You're going to do what I say. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself out the door. And that's it. I'm not on a power trip. I don't think I'm a better human than you are, but you said you want to do this thing. These are the things that you have to do, and I'm here to lead you through that process. So no matter what, if I tell you to take out the trash, or if you see that the trash needs to be taken out, understand that you're not even on step 0 yet when you first show up in the pipeline. You're trying to crawl out of the hole that you're in right now before you can even get to ground level, before you can start climbing the ladder up through the rest of the pipeline. And so, like, just put yourself in that perspective. Like, you're not even a white belt. Like, we're not giving you a gi yet. You have nothing. You are less than 0, and focus on anything that needs to happen to make the mission happen. And the mission is for you to get through the pipeline and nothing else. If there's work, do it. Like, don't let your ego mess this up for you.
Yeah, and man, how nice is it to go through the pipeline and all you got to worry about is just working out, surviving the pool, surviving the smokes. I mean, there's some survival mode in that for sure, but like, there's no paperwork creep or anything like that. It's just like, dude, and you are the focus. You and all the other cones around you are the focus.
Yeah. I mean, we let you be a little narcissist. It's all about your performance. There's team events and all that other stuff, but like, man, you could just get to focus on becoming better and stronger and faster, and learning how to put your personal comfort aside and to become the person that you say you want to be. Like, if you want to be this warrior person, then your comfort is secondary to almost everything. Whether that's taking out the trash or whether that's moving the heaviest thing that you've ever seen in your life that needs to be moved by a human, you're going to make it happen. And the sense of accomplishment on the backside is huge because it's all about you and your team. And yeah, you don't have to worry about any of that other crap. And everybody's going to tell you, all your instructors are going to tell you, all your cadres are going to tell you, like, you guys, this is going to be the best time of your life. You're going to remember this. And in the moment, you're like, seriously? This is as good as it gets? And then, 3 years later, you're looking back like, man, that was really nice.
Yeah.
Like, all I had to do was exactly what they told me to do. And I made a lot of personal progress during those years, and it was awesome.
Yeah. 100% right. I got nothing to add to that. That's good. Oh,
Kids.
A bunch of little narcissists running around.
But it's true.
Listen, cadre, you only exist because of me.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's true. But like, the first few years in your career too, like, we expect our young guys to come in a little bit cocky, a little bit all about themselves. Like, we want to keep them in check a little bit, but like, man, I want to let go of that leash at some point and let this young guy get out there and see what he's capable of. And it's funny because, like, you look back and you're like, man, all I thought about was myself. Like, I'm like, my workout, my nutrition, like my training, like, I'm the center of the universe. When I get awards, of course I get an award because I'm the best that ever was. And you're like kind of a little a-hole, but
yeah, that's my
always
bad.
stops.
Sorry, everybody. That was my fault. I tried to hit the mic mute because I was coughing. Whoops.
Speaking of narcissists,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So treating our Air Force Special Warfare support folks, or special mission support folks, like crap too. Thinking that you're entitled to certain things and items, and treating people like shit, just in general. Because you better believe you stand out. Like, one, in uniform, or even outside of uniform, everybody knows who you are. Walking around base, you've got a certain amount of swagger about you, right?
Yeah.
If you're in uniform, hey, that's it. You already got all the badges, you got the beret, that kind of stuff. If not, you have a certain era of narcissism, arrogance, entitlement,
Just
cockiness.
capability. You're just
Just
like
yeah,
coiled. You know, the young guys always just like coiled, ready for something.
yeah, which is good. I mean, that's who we want. But you don't blend in.
Mm-mm.
You don't.
That is a hard line for me when I have guys on team, is treating support folks poorly. Like, I want you in the team room to be kind of an a-hole. You know, I want you to share your opinion. You know, I want to have conversations when we go out and train. I want you to make some mistakes and push yourself, and, you know, how you treat us. Like, I can brush most of it off, right? Like, I don't expect you to be like, oh, who you are, Sergeant, all the time. Like, no. Like, my name is Trent. If you talk some smack to me, it's fine. But if you go out there, like, to medical, or if you run down to the supply shop, man, if you burn those relationships, I will get very upset.
Let's write a strongly worded letter, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'll do. That's I don't like that, because it's, look, we have a reputation, like, and we've talked about this before. The perception of our community is not 100% positive all the time, you know, and people interact with us and they think that we're a certain type of way for a certain type of reason, and we think it's kind of fun, right? Like, we see our young guys and their little, you know, narcissistic a-holes, and it's fun for us. It's hilarious. But, like, you know, you end up rubbing people the wrong way, and some people have had bad interactions with people from our community, or supposedly bad reactions, or interactions, and it affects all of us, you know, and it affects our ability to get things done, is really what it comes down to. And I'm not saying we're using people to get stuff done, but we are. Like, I need us all to get our passports. I need medical to be happy when they see one of our folks show up. I need supply when I go down there I don't have to spend 20 minutes hearing about how one of my young guys came down there and was yelling and screaming about something that doesn't matter, you know? It affects us being able to do the mission. And that's really what it comes down to. If you can't, you know, force yourself to be nice to people because you're a good person and you're a nice person, do it, because you're affecting our ability to do what we need to do otherwise.
100%. Have you heard of banging gates?
No.
That's what we used to do out in Mildenhall. So the way the base is laid out, you could go from entry point all the way around the flight line back to the entry point, but you couldn't, at the time, you couldn't go through, right?
Mm.
So you'd have to, if somebody messed up, you had to bang gates. You had to get a ruck on, grab a 250 dirt bike, couldn't turn it on, and you had to pull, you had to push it.
Yep.
All the way around the flight line, bang that gate, all the way back around, bang that gate, and then you come to the unit.
Yeah.
That's what, and you know, you treat somebody like shit, you're gonna bang gates.
Yeah, I mean, we're good at making people learn. We really are. And
Dudes would take that punishment all day long over a letter of counseling.
oh yeah.
Give me a smoke, even though a letter of counseling means nothing, like whatever, piece of paper.
But if you're not worth getting smoked, I don't know what it is about our community, but if it's not worth smoking you and you just give someone paperwork, that seems so much worse. Like,
Well, because
am I not worth the investment?
Yeah, I can kick you out of paperwork. If I'm starting to do paperwork for you, that means that I'm building a case to kick your ass out.
Yep.
If I just am like, you messed up, you go bang gates or go run the tower or whatever, then like, hey, you just messed up, and that's what it is.
That's us investing in you. That's what that is. And people will look at that and be like, oh, that's the worst. Like, that's a terrible punishment. It's like, it's not a punishment. That's investment in them, so they never forget that lesson. And what's the worst that's going to happen? You get stronger. oh no, I got stronger.
I
You
got
know?
to work out for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And nobody was like, "Hey, dude, where's so and so at?"
Yeah.
I just got to go work out.
You get time to think. We're going to give you the
Yeah.
time to think about what happened
Yep.
and how you could have avoided it and how you're going to avoid it in the future.
Hmm. How do you feel about brown nosers?
Oh, great. I love those people. I love careerists and brown nosers. I love when people say, like, man, we should do this so we can get some FaceTime with the general or the colonel or something like that. That's really what makes the Air Force great. Those are the people that make it really the mission happen. Are the ones that don't worry about their job, just worry about extra stuff, committees, making sure everybody knows about what, a supposed minority group we're caring about this month, and forwards on every email from the first sergeant and volunteers for everything except for being better at their job. Those are the people that I'm here for. What about you?
I It's funny that you say FaceTime because I have for sure said that to people. I'm like, oh, so and so wants FaceTime with you, or hey man, there's probably gonna be some good FaceTime for you.
Yeah,
So
I mean, so like if I'm like, we talked about this before. If I'm taking a like a senior airman to a staff meeting or something like that, like, or dragging them to an STRT or stuff like that, it's educational. They do get to FaceTime with the boss. It's like I'm showing, the rest of the squadron or the group of the people that we're going to meet, like, hey, I value this person. And they get to see all those things. I don't think there's a negative in that, but like what the people I'm talking about, the ones that are always trying to put themselves in front of the leadership, quote unquote, and just want to like suck up to them because they think it's going to help their career. And the worst part about it is sometimes, and it wouldn't bother me if it didn't help their career. The worst part about it is in the Air Force, in a lot of spaces, especially on the officer side, it will help you in your career, and that's what really gets me.
yeah, okay. I guess this might take us down a tangent.
Yes,
How often do you go on the Airman NCO Facebook page?
pretty often. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's such a weird. It's a weird dynamic over there, isn't it?
We're not allowed to comment on there anymore. Oh, well, you have what until your official retirement date, a little bit longer, but
What
they,
do you
they really
mean?
don't like they really don't like the old boomers coming on there and talking about how you was in their day.
Yeah,
So one of the big complaints.
uh, it's a weird thing, and the moderators over there are like I don't know who they are, but it's a weird kind of thing. Um,
There's
and,
like a
and when I say weird, I mean like they are very. It's a very negative space.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is. That's what gets people to go over there, right? To
Yeah,
rage
yes,
about things and to make fun of each other. I mean, you see people that comment all the time that are obviously just there to have a good time. People that we know, like Tommy Case will jump on there and
yeah,
he'll say ridiculous stuff. Jared Taylor hops on there every once in a while, like people that we've had on the podcast. But man, you see people get really worked up about it and all these things, and it's like, man, settle down. It's a Facebook page, all right. But like
yeah,
it kind of like allows people to air their grievances. It allows people to complain about things, which there is a time and a place for that. But I can only look at it, every so often. I don't look at it like all the time. And you can't take it seriously. Like people that take it seriously like all the time, it's like that's gross. Like every once in a while, someone will put something out there and they're like, "Hey man, I need help with this," and they actually get some help.
which is
You might have to
nice.
scroll through like the 800 sarcastic comments, which I totally appreciate, to find someone that's willing to help you. But it is, just like everything else, it's probably 80% negative, but like every once in a while they help someone.
Yeah. Well, and I think it ain't the moderators from what I can tell
Yeah.
that are helping people. It's other people, but it's just a weird dynamic over there. The way that some people think, like some people really do think that 100% of people in leadership positions or their supervisors are out to get them with zero self accountability.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's hard for us too because we are older now, right? It would be easier as like an E4 probably to vibe with some of those things that they're talking about, especially if you're in a situation, and you're not self-aware yet enough to understand that you're the one that keeps digging your own hole, and that's what's
Right?
happening. But as I'm a retired E8. I left from the MAGCOM. I'm definitely like boomer level perspective on a lot of these things. It's hard to look at that and not, read in some perspective that isn't there or some context and be like, not the entire Air Force can't be full of bad supervisors and bad commanders that are just out to get you. There's probably more to this story because we've seen it how many times,
all the time. That's the thing. It's just, it's, and there's some stuff on there that is for sure where you're like, oh, dude, I can't believe this chief sent this email out, or
Dude,
like there's some legitimate stuff on there that you're like, whoa, dude.
I'm there for that stuff.
What's that?
I'm there for that stuff, like the
That
chiefs and
dude.
I love it when
I've been
the
told they're
senior
E9s, not
NCOs.
chiefs, but
Yeah, I love when the senior NCOs hop on there and try to like control the page. Like they'll send them a DM. Like they're not going to publish it. It's like, is this your first day on the internet? Like, I need to know your name and your rank. Like, bad choice, all that other kind of stuff.
really?
It's just like,
There are people on there that do that?
oh, I mean, maybe not as much anymore, but there was a time when people will definitely try to go witch hunt that page. A
Yeah.
lot like
Oh yeah,
some of
yeah.
the
There were
other meme
definitely
pages.
people on there for sure. And people use their real names and stuff like that. But I mean, they definitely have their, I don't know, their bugaboos. Anyway, whatever. Doesn't matter. It's a stupid ass Facebook page. But
My problem with a lot of the stuff that I see on there is there seems to be this, and this is just my perception. There seems to be a lot of people that are okay or would rather allow themselves to be less than what they're capable of.
yeah,
The whole like, I'm cyber, I don't need to be physically fit. Like the complaining about the standards that have been in place for a very long time. And then being like, well, why do I have to do this PT test? Like I sit in front of a computer. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to be fit enough to knock out that PT test anytime, anytime it comes up? And I know not everybody's me, and I understand that maybe genetically I was predisposed to being better at some of these things, or my childhood and all this other stuff, right? But like the Air Force PT test isn't hard. I think we've proven it. And if you made it through basic training, at some point you probably pass the PT test. Just maintain it and get better at it. The
and you
science
know it's
tells us that if
coming.
you keep working at it, you'll probably be better at it.
Yeah, and I know for sure that there are people that stress about the Air Force PT test every single 6 months that they have to take it because they're not passing above a 90. So I get the stress level, but imagine that stress level, how decreased it would be if you just maintained a certain level of fitness. No one's asking you to go out there and be able to pass an IFT or an OFT or anything like that. The Air Force PT test is relatively easy.
Well, and the self accountability, you signed up and you said, yes, I will meet the standards of the Air Force for as long as I'm in. I signed that contract. That contract is a two-way agreement between yourself and the United States Air Force. So like, I don't, if you're just getting on there to complain, please leave a comment. Tell me I'm wrong and that you're just, complaining, and that's fine. Like we all complain as NCOs. It was our job to complain, blah, blah, blah. But if you actually believe that just because your job is not like running around outside the wire, that you shouldn't have to pass the Air Force PT test, then you're super stupid, like, and you're missing the opportunities to be a better version of yourself. Don't tell me you don't have time.
Yeah.
I'm retired, and when my wife and I, like, before we take the kids to school, we still the best time to work out is still 5 o'clock in the morning. So we wake up at 4:30, we drag our old butts over to the gym, we work out for an hour, and we come home, we wake up the kids before we take them to school. Don't tell me you don't have time.
No, there's for sure time. And time is one of the reasons why we say don't bank on cross training.
Oh yeah,
because you may end up working 12s, which are actually, if your security force is a 12, actually turns into a 14.
yep.
And if you're thinking that that's a guarantee, I mean that is one for sure thing, that you will be working 12s, that at some point, and you may not have the time to work out
Yep.
properly and cross train. But
There's always those folks, but like I was in weather and we were working 12s, but like I would just leave mid shift. Like there was like a 30 to 40 minute window when I could go knock out 5 miles and some cows and make it back to my computer, make sure everything is good, go shower up and get back to my my workstation. And not everybody was super kosher with it, but enough people, like, I kind of dared them to give me paperwork about working out.
Yeah. But I mean, it's once you get to that point, it's easier to maintain it than it is to work through trying to get to that point. So I fully acknowledge that, but once you get to it, just maintain it, and it's a lot easier. But I mean, if it's going to help you cognitively, right? It's going to help your mental health, or
Yeah.
mental sickness, depending on what you want to use. It's going to help you focus more. You're going to look and appear more professional. It's just, it's going to decrease your medical visits to the hospital, especially, maybe not at the beginning, but definitely over time. There's just a whole bunch that it gives you. So I
Yeah,
don't know how many
and
times.
maybe the problem is, and I've thought about this a lot too. Maybe the Air Force standards are too low. Because the minimums, like, you don't have to work out that much to hit those standards.
No,
Maybe set your standards way higher than the minimums and give yourself some real life goals, and that would make you going out there to knock out the Air Force PT test a slow workout day.
you mean like maybe because the stereotype is, hey, the Air Force has easy PT standards, that people go in going like, Air Force doesn't really take it that seriously. So whenever the heat does get turned up of like, you've got to do this,
Yeah.
that they're like, dude, I didn't sign up for this. Is that kind of what
Well,
you're alluding to?
well, it's like when we had the old AFSOC PT test, right? Even the Air Force PT test was nothing. Like, in half the time, we just do it all at the same time and just cut our 3 mile
Yeah.
run time in half and be like, whatever that is. Yes, I passed my Air Force PT test. We had 2 minutes to do push-ups, but it's like, what were you at 1 minute? And we would just be
Yeah.
like, we're not doing crunches, we're doing sit-ups, and just, I'm not saying pencil whip it and lie, but obviously we could pass the Air Force PT test. But like to maintain like a 3 mile run that was easy at like a 7 minute pace, we didn't only run 3 miles. Like, we were running like 5 to 7 miles on a regular basis at least. The good runners are probably running a lot further than that on a regular basis. But like making your daily standard like a 3 mile run instead of a mile and a half run, or a 5 mile run instead of a mile and a half run, is going to make everything a lot easier. So just set your sights a little bit higher. I'm saying it's not that much to aspire to the Air Force PT test. And yeah, maybe it builds into your brain that it's not that important because it's not that hard.
No. Yeah. I do wonder then, what does the Marines have the same issue?
Not really. I mean, because the Marines are a little more psychotic about their PT standards.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, that's that expectation,
Yeah.
right? The expectation is that, whether it doesn't matter what your job is as a Marine, you will pass the Marine PT test, which is more stringent than the Air Force one. And since the Air Force has kind of been known to not take it so seriously, conversely, like, I wonder what the Space Force is, right? Because they issue those like Garmin
Yeah.
watches that track your strain and your heart rate and that kind of stuff, and they base all of their PT stuff off of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's fine, I guess. But I don't know what that means. We don't have enough data, at least I don't, on the Space Force to know if that's working out well or not. But at the end of the day, you did sign the contract, and it's not a hard test. No matter what, if you join the Air Force is, at least until the Space Force came on board, right? Like, it's the hardest service to get into for the majority of people, depending on the job that you're going for. Man, if you made it in, congratulations. You really don't have an excuse to not knock out the standards every single time.
Yep. No, I was just trying to Google what the Space Force stuff, because they've gone away. It says Space Force has transitioned from traditional physical fitness assessments to more holistic health approach. Continuous fitness assessment. So it's continuous. They're just monitoring your watches that you're wearing.
You know what the Marines have is like public shaming if you can't pass the PT test. You know what I mean? Like,
Dude,
yeah,
I love those reels that you see where you get some brand new Marine that shows up to a unit and you got Gunny dressing him down.
yeah,
Just, it's awesome.
yeah. That's the good stuff. That's what makes things special. That's what makes people like proud of their service. Maybe, and this is a wild idea, maybe if we held the standards a little more stringently all the way across the board, instead of just complaining. I'm looking at you, all of you command chiefs. And instead of just complaining about them when you all get together for your little brouhahas, maybe if you like started putting some boots in some butts and holding the standards and being a little more stringent about it, a little bit of pride would come back. Maybe there's that.
Yeah, chiefs, command chiefs.
Yeah. I mean, it's not.
I got I was telling Vice about this. One of the instructors came in and hadn't seen him in a while, and he had definitely put on some weight. Like, did not look good, and he was a major, right?
Oh,
And the I've got two other at the time there were two other majors up there in the front office with me, and the overweight major that just came into the front office to get something, he had left, and the two majors that are in shape looked at me and they're like, Peaches, like, you gonna say something about it? I'm like, me? I was like, do you really want me to say something about it, or should you as a peer say something about it? Yeah.
like, nah, dog. You're
they
the
were both
SEO.
like, they were both like, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, we can chief people all day long if you want,
Yeah.
but
But
it
the
might
Chiefs
go a
are the
little farther.
yeah, the Chiefs are the holders of the enlisted standard, you know, and they should do it. So that's what I think, and I think you'd see the pride come back. I really do. The reason that the folks in AppSpec Corps have that swagger, walk around a little bit differently, and do these things, it's not because, you know, our life is easier. It's because it's harder. Do you know why maintenance tells you to FO if you try to say anything to them about anything? It's because they got that pride, because they know they're doing something hard. That's where it comes from. It doesn't come from, well, do cyber guys really need to pass the PT test? Yes, they do. And you need to shave and you need to get a haircut, because that's what is written as the standard right now. It doesn't mean that I agree with it. It doesn't mean that I wrote the standard. I don't really care. But if that's the standard as it's written, you should meet it and you should be proud about it.
Yep. Beards are a hot topic right now, though, aren't they?
Gee, they're so dumb. Just get I use one of those like one blades, and I shave every 2 to 3 days now, and I honestly, I don't grow great facial hair, so it's not a big deal. But everyone's like, oh, I get bumps and all this other stuff. Like, it's never been easier to shave your beard, and maybe you have to shave it at lunchtime too. But if you have one of those one blades, they're not very expensive. You can do it. I mean, I went all the way through senior NCOA without an actual razor ever touching my face.
Do you think that there is?
Yes. I think I know where this is going.
Do you think there is ill will or ill intent or maliciousness towards from normal people, like, I'll say normies, like, chiefs or whatever, towards people that have beard waivers?
Yeah. Yes.
You do? Okay. I'm
I
sure
think
that the answer is not 100%. That's for sure.
there are people that need the waiver exists for a reason, right? And it's just like a bunch of other things in life and in the military. The waiver is a good thing, because there are legit people that that we need, that if they scrape a blade across their face, like, legitimately they have a problem. Weird that doesn't exist in the Marine Officer Corps for some reason. It never has and it never will. Just saying. But I've seen some people that get pretty jacked up from it, but definitely, I mean, there's more people taking advantage of that little piece of paper than in the history of the Air Force. And I'm not saying that I think us not being able to have beards is awesome. I'm just saying, what are you doing? You're just looking stupid. And you think that your chief doesn't have an opinion about it? You think that your supervisor doesn't have an opinion about it? You think that the people that you supervise don't have opinions about it? Are you sure that waiver is absolutely necessary? Are you sure?
You sure about that?
Yeah. Because definitely not all of them. The number is not 0% of people that have that waiver, and
that's what I
definitely
was
don't
kind
need
of
it.
getting to. Like, it's just, I think probably the majority of your senior enlisted are like, dude, I don't care. You got a beard waiver, you got a beard waiver, like, whatever. They're not going to curate your FaceTime with any kind of leadership based off of beard waiver. But you're right, the percentage is not zero. There are definitely people out there that will target you or not put you in front of people or look down on you for it.
Yeah, but it's one of those things too. Like, and maybe it's not the beard thing, but I granted, I'm boomer status, everybody, so take this with a grain of salt. But if I have an airman that looks like melted garbage in their uniform, and they also have a shaving waiver, and they have a dirty room, and they're not performing very well at work, like, I'm gonna I'm going to throw the beard waiver into that pile of negativity. You know what I mean? I'm just going to assume this guy's a piece of crap, a POS, and that his beard waiver is nonsense, whether or not it is. But it's just another thing that they're going to, it matters.
Yeah, just another thing.
Yeah.
Man, I totally went off on a tangent there.
Yeah. But if you have like a six
Derailed us.
pack, and you
What's
crush
that?
work, if you have like a six pack and you crush work, we know all those motivated dudes out there that are crushing it and have a beard waiver. It's like, at that point, it's like, yeah, he probably doesn't need it, but like, who cares? He's crushing it.
Well, that brings up a good point. If you're crushing your job, if you are, and I'm not saying this is right, I'm not saying this is right at all, but if you are crushing your job and you are one of the best at your job, the indiscrepancies or whatever will often get overlooked.
Yeah.
Like if you look like, if you, for whatever reason, you're the best at your job and you just can't wear the uniform correctly, or you've got longer hair or longer sideburns, like, dude, I don't call the boys at the trench. I don't call any of them out on their hair. I actually, to be fair, I don't call anybody out on their hair at the weapons school, period. So, but, because it's not my jam, like, I don't care. But if you are crushing your job, a lot of your other inadequacies will go overlooked.
Yeah, if we show up for like a movement, right, and we're supposed to be wearing roughs, and like you're not supposed to be wearing jeans, and that's part of the rules, or it was, and everybody's wearing khakis except for the guy that's amazing at everything, and he's wearing like gray jeans, and and he's not meeting the letter of the law, but also it's like, it's okay because he still looks good. He still looks good because he's him. It's fine. No one's saying anything.
He's still the guy that'll go out there and crush it in a moment's notice.
Yeah. So it's okay, and I think that's fine. Like that's just the way the world works. If you are a performer and you are putting in effort, and you are mastering your craft, and you're doing all these different things, that's how you build that leeway to get away with some shenanigans. That's how you get a little more freedom. Like we've talked about this before. Give yourself some freedom of maneuver, space by being good at something.
Yep.
But if you suck at your job and you complain about everything and you also want a beard and you also can't wear your uniform right and your room is a disaster, I'm going to look for the quickest way to get you out of my squadron.
So
it's not my squadron. I was an E8. I was never in charge of a squadron, but you know what I mean? Off my team, away from, I don't want you poisoning anything that I'm associated with.
Well, I think even at that point, I think it still is your squadron, right?
Yeah.
Like I still there's some pride in, hey, I was at the 23rd, I was at 321st, 320th. There's pride in that, and you should. And it's just like having pride in your family name, pride in your career field. Nobody likes it whether you're a SEAL, Green Beret, one of us, like when you hear about somebody, you're like, oh, yeah, fucking yeah, I knew this Green Beret. He was this freaking, everybody's like, man,
this guy again. Man,
yeah,
that was 10 years ago. It's like, yeah, but people don't forget, bro.
People don't forget. And I think if people understood how important that is, or how much that weight that holds, I think that they would act appropriately. I mean, like, like I said, you see people acting a fool at coffee shops, out in San Diego, and I'm a fucking SEAL. You're like, God, because even as so taking a step back even farther, that person is still special operations, still falls under SOCOM. I still go like,
bro,
man,
come on. Yeah.
Like, because then we all get lumped together.
Yep.
We really do,
Everybody in the Air Force gets lumped together. And that's why if I see something and somebody's in uniform, like my reaction is 10 times what it is for a civilian doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. I didn't really have anything else. We kind of went off on a tangent. I did, and I'll say it here.
Yes.
Even though it's not, and the reason why I say that is because we started with IFAM, so we'll end with IFAM. It looks like, and this is penciled in, this is not solidified yet, but the next IFAM will be in June, towards the end of June. The new application should be out by the end of February, but it's possible between now and then that the dates might shift a week or two. Is what they've. I mean, literally, this just came in.
But
So
June,
he
July
said,
at Hurlburt Field, boys and girls, get yourself ready.
hydrate.
If you are at a northern base, especially, or a dry, nice climate, you better be crushing those IFT numbers if you're expecting to go down to Florida in the summer and pass that IFT. It's
Some
going to
thick
be
air.
oh, dude. When I went down there for AST, I remember the first PT test we did. I felt like I was swimming. I was like, this is. And I was coming from North Carolina, which isn't like not humid at all, but man, it was. That run was a struggle.
The air is very different down there. It's nice.
Yeah. But
it's thick and it's hot. And you're right. Coming from a Vegas climate or a Minot or something like that, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in the panhandle of Florida trying to do the things that we're going to put you through. Oh,
get yourself some Hoist. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd find that at drinkhoist.com, promo code ONESREADY. You don't have to go online, but if you don't go online, use promo code. They don't know that we sent you. You can find them at HEB, Safeway, commissaries, that kind of stuff. Bring some with you. Ship some out to you. You can get an address out there. Ship some. It'll be good.
And I've told you too about the hardest 3 mile run I ever did in my career was at Hurlburt, and our time for the pool got pushed back, so it ended up being like 9 o'clock in the morning when we did our 3 mile run. Cool. And I came in and I beat all the younger guys on my team on the run. I'd maybe not done as many cals as I could have, saved some energy because I needed to win something. I needed to beat these young punks, and they'd all been like my students in the pipeline. But I came across the line, and it felt like 18 or sub 18. Like that was the level of effort that I put in. I crossed the line at 21 minutes flat, and that was the fastest. It wasn't like. That was the hardest 3 mile run I ever did. That's the most effort I ever put into a 3 mile run, and barely made a 7-minute pace.
And your shirt and shorts are like not just drenched, but I mean, think about dunking them in a pool and pulling them out and squeezing them. That's what's cut like.
We got to the pool. We all ran into the bathroom, into the showers. We turned it on as cold as we could, and we all stood under there for you get like a 20-minute break between the run and the swim, right? But we were all just trying to get our core temperatures down as best we could before we hopped in that, again, a nice, really hot pool to fin 1,500 meters. But yeah, the hardest run I ever did, and my time was still pretty garbage.
That's nuts, dude. All right. Well, everybody, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave us a review, leave us comments, especially about the bar usage of barbells and squats, bench, and deadlifts. We know you won't shy away from it.
So stupid.
We know you won't.
Like, powerlifting is stupid. All right, y'all. It doesn't do anything for your performance. There's no correlation between what we do and lifting weights. That's what we said. That's exactly what we said on that reel. It's not what we said at all, but. We did get a lot of positive comments for the majority of y'all. We really appreciate you. Appreciate you liking and subscribing and checking out our sponsors and leaving reviews and comments and for the algorithm. There's nothing better than when I see someone just like, hey, I'm leaving a comment for the algorithm. Like, thank you. I appreciate it, and we appreciate it. And let us know what we can do or what we can cover going forward to help you out.
Yeah, definitely. All right, everybody, we're out here. Later.